Good. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about this project. I know Anand told you in class why we were doing this sort of roughly, but basically we're just trying to get a sense of Ms. Severino's approach to teaching because we're doing a project to help future social studies teachers understand teaching better and understand how kids in class think. So we've picked a handful of you to come and talk about your experience. It's not a test. There's no right or wrong answers. We just want to hear like what kind of experiences you had in class. Okay, so be yourself, relax. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
The videos are not going to be made public to the whole world. It's just for people who are studying to be teachers. Okay. So first, I wanted to ask you, when you first came to class today, like you'd studied a little bit about the material from the homework and stuff. What was on your mind about the topic?
About the topic? What was on my mind?
Yeah.
The religion thing is still going on because I'm a Christian and it's still a problem with the other religions. So I was a little bit nervous about the religion.
Oh, nervous about like what would happen in class?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like what would have happened in class? What were you thinking might happen?
Because some people are very fundamentalist. Like I said before, they just strict about their religion. Okay. So I thought it might be a conflict between it. Okay. Christians and Muslim if they have Muslims in the classroom.
Okay, I see. And so when you first came in, Ms. Severino gave that example of like living in your house and having to leave your house and then trying to come back later. How did that make you feel about what you're about to study today?
How did it make me feel?
How did it make you feel? Like did it put you in a certain frame of mind for this studying that you did today, the studying of the state of Israel?
No, not really.
Did you see like the connection she was making with
that?
Okay.
She was making like a connection with how the Muslims were fighting, their points of view, how people have different points of view about a certain topic or something like that.
When she kind of told the story about the house, did you the story about the house being sort of forced to leave your home and come back? Did you put yourself in the role of any of those people? Did you think about
I did. That's when I answered the question. I did
about the Muslim. That was your answer about the Muslim. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure I was following you. So, what did you think she wanted you to learn today? What was the objective of the lesson she did?
What did she want me to learn?
Yeah, like when you walked out of the classroom today, what did she most want you to have?
She wanted us to. I think she's trying to stick it. She's giving the example related to our lives, so we could remember when we are about to take the global test. So she wants us to remember what's going on. So she puts it like she put the question in a place where it will stick in your mind, like when you think about house. If you left your house and you came back, and with the Muslims fighting each other, so yeah. Okay. So the lesson was broken up, and I don't know. There were a couple things that she did in class after that scenario. So the first one, the historical roots, the Jews being driven out of Jerusalem by the Romans and stuff, and the diaspora and Zionism, So a lot of the time, I think she had you looking at her PowerPoint slides on the projector, right, and stuff. What did you think? What were you thinking about when she showed you kind of the different people who were involved in the history of the creation of Israel? What did I think about it?
What kind of thoughts were in your mind, or questions or ideas?
I think questions was about like the United States, like it always gets involved in it, and how the Britons, it was taking over almost every country. Yeah, that was going through my mind.
So you saw how the British.
Yeah, because we studied Africa, and the Great Britain was involved, and then America wasn't involved in that one, but yeah.
So you were thinking about other stuff you studied in her class that had a similar kind of feel to it?
Yeah.
Did it seem to you like it was almost a repeat of those stories, or was it different in some way?
Kind of, yeah, because India was the same thing when Great Britain pulled out. Yeah, it was almost the same things. Okay. So it's easy to remember.
Right, that there were like separate groups, and they had to be kind of lines drawn between them and stuff like that kind of stuff. Okay. So then the next phase was the UN, right? The British go to the UN and they draw a partition, right? And I think that was when she put the map of Israel, the 1945 map on the screen
Yeah.
there. What kind of thoughts did you have in your mind when she showed you the map and you saw how they broke up the country?
They broke up. How they broke up the country?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the same thought that I had was like the Jewish had the like more advantages.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were next to the water, the same place, the same way Cassandra said it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it brought me back to Korea, all those stuff we studied again.
Okay. You guys already studied Korea too?
Yeah, we already
Okay.
studied Korea.
Oh wow. And then what did you anticipate was from having seen that map? What did you think was going to happen next?
I think it's gonna be I already thought it was gonna be another war.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Yeah. And sure enough,
it was.
that was the next thing you studied, right?
Yeah.
So then she went over to the front of the classroom, right, and she showed you the map and drew the outline and circled the other countries and stuff. What about that? Like what kinds of thoughts were on your mind at that time?
It was surrounded.
Yeah.
It was surrounded. I thought the Jewish were gonna lose because it was all those countries all together.
Right.
Right.
They're so much bigger and
Yeah.
yeah, it didn't look good. But then what happened?
The Jews won.
What? So that was surprising, probably.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Have you kind of followed, how things have gone in more modern history between those countries and Israel, or was this all kind of newer to you?
Not new, because it's almost like I already know what's going to happen, and it's easier to remember, and I like the pattern though.
Right.
It's easier to remember those stuff.
Right, because there's this sort of consistent
Yeah.
thing that happens.
Yeah.
So was there anything that was very new to you that you learned in the lesson today?
What?
Was there anything that was very new to you that you learned in the lesson today that you didn't know before?
Oh, I didn't know about the Jews and Arabs before.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you didn't know the history leading up to that. Okay. So why, after all that, why do you think they created the state of Israel? What do you think the reasons were?
The reasons for the Jews?
The reasons that well, you can, by they, there were a number of different groups involved in the creation of the state. Why do you think they chose to do what they did?
They chose to do what they did?
To create the state.
To create the state? I think it's because the Jews were in Germany and they were dying and they needed a place to stay. So they were blaming a lot of people, a lot of stuff, so just they could have a space for them where they feel more safe.
Sorry about that. And so what were some of the reasons that they, the sort of, after you studied today, what were some of the pros and cons for the creation of the state the way they did?
The what?
The pros and cons, like the reasons for creating the state and the reasons against creating the state.
The reason, what was,
After today's lesson, what do you think were the reasons that they had for creating the state, and then the reasons that there were for against creating the state?
Who?
Well, obviously there are different people involved in the right. So there are some people who have opinions that there should be no Israeli state.
Oh, okay.
So what were some of those ideas?
I think it's for being more safe, one, and then I think it had to have a natural resource, something that they needed, and so they supported it. Because in order for you to support somebody, you have to have an output in it. You have to have an input or right. You have to have something that you want
to sustain yourself. Yeah. Okay. So what were the reasons? But why were there groups opposed to the creation of an Israeli state?
The groups?
Right. But why were, for instance, some of the Arab states around Israel? Why were they against there being an Israeli state?
Because they didn't. They have. I think they had different opinion. The Arabs, they had different religion. They didn't, and then they worked for the land, so they didn't want the Jews to come in.
Right. Right. So it was like they'd have to.
I have to make sure that I understand what you're saying.
I'm just trying. I'm not trying to make it more complicated. I was just trying to see like what you generally thought. Obviously there
of the Arabs.
Yeah, the Arabs. Why the Arabs or other? There's other groups that live around there. There's four or five countries around the Israeli state. So what were I was trying to sort of see what the reasons were that they would not want the Israelites to be there.
Oh, like I said, it was, I think, because of, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. There's no
you
right or
said-
wong answer. I'm just trying to get your opinion.
I already answered the question,
Okay.
so I don't want
Okay.
to.
That's fine. Okay. So, of the stuff that you did today, what was the hardest part for you in class?
The hardest, I think, is I still don't understand why the Egyptians in Jordan were against the Jews. I mean the Arabs.
Against the
Yeah,
They
didn't like the Arabs, right? I mean the Jews,
right.
right?
Exactly, right. Well, they're two of the countries that opposed the way the UN resolution that drew up Israel as we more or less as we knew it in 1945. So, so you have questions about why they were involved in the opposition to that process? Okay, I can't answer that. Not today. That's maybe part of what you'll be studying tonight and tomorrow. Do you think it would have been helpful if Miss Severino had done something in class maybe to discuss that?
Yeah, I would have.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't understand why. Because she just told me they were against them, and I
Right.
don't know why.
But she didn't really talk about in depth what the reasons
She probably
were.
talk about it in the homework, the
Right.
second part.
Okay, so maybe we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Get to that tomorrow. Let's see. I noticed that you guys had little discussions. You know, she asked questions and you talked to your neighbor for a little bit. What kind of things did you talk about?
The question was which other countries were related to it, and I asked them if they remembered about India and Africa and those type of examples.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you guys help each other to kind of answer the question? Yeah, it worked out okay?
It worked out
Did you
okay.
you didn't disagree or
No.
any issue?
Actually, I kind of disagree because she had the kind of like, she was wrong off the bat, and then when I explained it to her, she was like, okay,
Oh, okay.
I understand. Yeah.
So it worked out actually
Yeah.
in the end for her. Okay. And then when you guys were done with that, you all came back to class basically to talk. And did you raise your hand a lot? Did you talk? Yeah.
She didn't want me to raise my hand a lot because we were kind of going too much.
Okay. You were talking more than the other students in the class. Okay. So, of all the stuff that you've done in class, what's been the most helpful thing for you so far?
Of
Today. Just today.
Today?
We're just talking about today. Yeah.
Was the notes.
The notes.
The notes on the
What-
projector.
Oh, the stuff that she
Yeah.
put up on her screen. Yeah. What about what she put on the screen?
It was
helpful?
like more understanding because you're writing it and reading it at the same time. It was sticking to your head more.
It's
And
easier
then
to
tomorrow you have more of an idea of the lesson.
Okay, so like you kind of come in with your ideas, but then she
Yeah.
puts it up on the screen and it makes more sense. Okay. So what do you hope to get out of tomorrow's lesson?
Tomorrow's lessons.
Mm-hmm.
I hope to find out more about the Egyptians and stuff.
Right.
And what happened to the Arabs after that, if they come back for another war or something.
Okay. So it looks like we'll be finding out more tomorrow.
Yeah.
Have you followed in sort of the recent news what's going on in Israel or the countries around it? Are you aware of like what's going on there now?
No.
Not so
In
much.
Israel? No.
Okay. Well, maybe that'll be something that you do after you've had this unit.
Yeah, we usually every time we talk about a lesson during the week, and then on Friday you research more for it, and then you make
Okay.
a summary.
You write up something
Yeah.
for class? Okay. Do you think you're going to talk to your classmates later on today about what you studied in this unit, or?
Yeah, we usually
Yeah,
talk
you
about
guys
it
talk about it?
during lunchtime.
Yeah, really? That's good.
Right, we like global.
Yeah, global's good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like a fun class. Do you think when you go home you're going to look up some stuff on your own, or you're just going to kind of focus on what she gave you?
What she gave me?
Yeah.
She usually gave homework where you do research.
Yeah, she gives you everything.
There's no
you need
out.
To do.
Yeah.
Right. Does she send you online at all
Yeah.
to look stuff up? Where do you go when you go online?
Google,
Google, and then where?
and then Axe. Sometimes Axe.
Okay.
Sometimes Yahoo.
Uh-huh. And then, but from those searches, do you go? Are there any specific kind of like websites that you go to for like news websites or places that have
I
historical?
think BBC.com.
BBC?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have good information, don't they? Okay. Well, good. Thank you.
Okay.
So I'll see you again tomorrow because we're gonna do this again after class.
You might.
Oh yeah? Why? You're not gonna come back?
Might be absent.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, if you're here, I think the plan is to do this again to see if you got your questions answered and what else you thought about the lesson.
Okay.
Okay.